Good Friday morning, everyone. Have my webcam a little bit out of sorts here, so let's put it back the way I should have it for this game. We are at another game on the June 8th schedule, 1987 American League replay, game number 383 overall in the full replay. And it's the Cleveland Indians taking on the California Angels. And two plus 40-year-old pitchers, Phil Niekro against Don Sutton, is your pitching matchup in this one. Went ahead and had a little time yesterday morning, so I set up the score sheet with the PDF editor, so I was able to go ahead and type in the lineup and the ratings. Maybe it's a little neater and easier for you guys to see. I'm not going to do it all the time. I do it once in a blue moon. And I did go ahead and list the benches and bullpens for both teams, and the ones with the L beside them obviously designate that they are left-handed, either hitters or pitchers, so that you can see who's in the bullpen and who's not. Don Sutton on the replay is 4-4. Phil Niekro is 2-5. Don Sutton has a -2 hold when you combine him with the -3 from Boone. So he's a +1, and the -3 makes it a -2. Phil Niekro is a 0 hold, but the +1 from Bando makes him a +1. Niekro a 15 wild pitch and a 9 balk. Sutton a 7 wild pitch and a 0 balk. California comes in the game a dead even 28-28, tied for second place behind the Oakland A's in the American League West. Cleveland a bottom feeder in the American League East at 22-33. So let's look at what Don Sutton has done. First of all, in the real season, Don Sutton. Hello, World's Worst. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well on this Friday. And if you're working or have to go to work today, at least if you do a Monday through Friday, at least you're on your weekends coming up. I know I used to really look forward to Fridays, and just it was something to get that weekend was in view. So that was always a positive. Of course, didn't care for Mondays, but hey, it's the way it goes. All right, so we go over to the Strat computer, and we'll get this game lined up. The one game from this particular block that I'm going to play offline will be, I believe it's Texas and Seattle. So I'm going to play that one offline, and that'll finish out the week, or the day, I should say. And we'll start on Monday. We'll go to June 9th for the replay. All right, so Don Sutton on the real season, 11-11 with a 4.70 ERA, and he's pretty much holding serve in the replay. He's 4-4 with a 4.75, so he's pretty much right where you expect him to be in this replay. So he's 500 with an ERA right around 4.7, which is what he did in real world. All right, Brett Butler will lead things off for the Cleveland Indians. Hello, Duke. Good to see you. That's a new name for me, so welcome aboard if it's your first time. Dr. D, good to see you as well. Ooh, I know that junk is going around. I know my wife had that stuff for a little bit. Fortunately, I was fortunate enough not to contract it. So, knock on wood. Still got, we're still in the middle of January, so anything, can happen. You never know. So, just have to be careful. All right. So before we have the ceremonial first pitch, or before the first pitch, we have to have the ceremonial first sip. As everybody knows, that's just tradition here in the mornings. Got to have that hot coffee, especially on a cold day when it got down to about 20 degrees last night. I think it's about 25 out there right now. So there's going to be about 3 or 4 days of a really cold snap, and then it's going to go back to normal about Wednesday, I think. Chance of some light snow on Sunday from what I heard. I don't know. Anyway, back to the ball game. Brett Butler on the replay is hitting .415. He's just been killing it, and he's had 142 at bats, so it's not like a small sample size anymore. 415 average, 4 homers, 14 driven in. He hit 295 real world. That's a 3-7, and that's going to be a line. You know what? I assumed it was going to be a line out because it's a 1 for a single. Anything else is a line out. And what comes up right off the bat, but the Devil Die strikes with a 1, and Butler gets another base hit. Unbelievable. And, of course, he'll be looking to get a lead. He needs a 2 through 8 or a 12 to get a lead. There is a -2 hold factor, so if he got the lead, it would be down to a 1 to an 11. But he's still going to try for the lead. He's a leadoff guy. You got to try for the lead. 7, he gets the lead. He's going to go. Hello, Scott. Good to see you. So he's going to go since he got the lead. 15 being held to 13. -2 is an 11. So 1 to an 11, he's going to be successful. Boone's T rating is a 5, so we'll keep an eye on that if we roll a 1, 2, or 3. Get a 14, and he is caught stealing. So Butler thrown out by Bob Boone, and that takes care of that base runner. And that'll bring up Julio Franco. Julio Franco on the replay is hitting 295, 3 homers, 27 driven in. He hit 319 real world. 2-8, and that is a ground ball to third. 2 down. And that'll send up Pat Tabler, the designated hitter. Tabler hitting 326 on the replay, 4 homers, 29 driven in. He hit 307 real world. 5-7 is a ground ball second base X. We're looking at McLemore. He's a 2E22. 2 and a 12. He should get to that without any issue, you would think. 2 and a 12 is a G1. That's a 9, and he is an E22. E22, there's a 12, 17, and 18, but no 9, so it's good play for McLemore. And Cleveland is dispatched. The leadoff single from Butler, but then he got caught stealing, and that kind of ended everything. So we go to the bottom of the first. Cleveland nothing. California coming to bat. And Phil Niekro, the knuckleballer, 7 and 13. In fact, it's interesting. They don't have a team name here for him. I don't know if he stayed the whole season with Cleveland or whether he was, got dealt somewhere else. I'm not sure, but it normally, like I said, normally you would have the team name. Like on Gary Pettis, you would normally have team name. This just says pitching card. So it's kind of interesting that you would have pitching card there. Well, look at Don Sutton. He's got pitching card too, but the name is right here. So there's no Cleveland here. So that's kind of weird that they would have it that way, but it's just how they do it. So Niekro, 7 and 13 with a 6.10 ERA in the real season. On the replays, 2 and 5 with an ERA of 6.78. So he's been just as bad in the replay as he was in real world. Yeah, Larry, I think he did pitch like one game for Atlanta just so he could retire as a Brave, but I don't think he got traded from Cleveland to the Yankees or anybody else mid-season. I think he was I think he stayed with Cleveland the whole time and then kind of did that one outing for Atlanta to retire kind of thing. I'm trying to remember, but a little bit of foggy on the memory there, but I'm thinking that's what happened. I think it was more ceremonial than anything else. All right. So we are ready to go here. I get my stuff all straight. All right, Gary Pettis will lead off. He's hitting 235 on the replay. No homers, 18 driven in. And he hit 208 in the real season. Interestingly enough, Gary Pettis in the replays had 196 at-bats, and he's got 18 RBI already, which has exceeded his season total. He only had 17 runs batted in 394 at-bats. He's got 18 already in the replay. Very, very strange. Niekro, 6'10" to the switch hitter, and that's a catcher X. We're looking at Bando, a 2E2, but nobody's on base. So no wild pitches to worry about. 2 and a 20. That should be a ground out, I assume. 2 and a 20. Yeah, it's a G1, and that's an 8. And he's an E2, so that's no problem. So it's a little nubber in front of the plate. And Bando pounces on it quickly because Pettis can run and throws him out. One away for Wally World, Wally Joyner. Joyner on the replay is hitting 308, 15 homers, 34 driven in. He hit 295 real world. 2-5, and that's a home run 1-4. And the double die strikes again with a 1. So that is gone. Wally Joyner goes yard on that Phil Niekro knuckleball. 2-5 is a 1-4 home run, and that is a 1. So Wally Joyner goes deep against Niekro to give the Angels a 1-0 lead. For Joyner, home run number 16. He had 34 of them in the real season. Home run 16, RBI 35. In at bat 209. So Joyner puts the Angels in the lead. And that brings up the designated hitter, Brian Downing. Hello, Kathy. Here's Downing, the designated hitter. He's hitting 335, 14 homers, 41 driven in. He hit 272 real world. 110, and that's a ballpark blast, which is 1-12, and that's gone. Double die shows up low again. We've had 2 1s and a 3. Interesting. But that fits the home run very perfectly. So Brian Downing goes back-to-back with Wally Joyner off of the aged Phil Niekro. And for Downing, that is home run number 15, RBI number 42 on the replay. He had 29 of them real world. Hello, Ernest. It wasn't clean, as Jeffrey likes to say, because it had to go to the ballpark, but it still counts the same. So back-to-back Jackson. Phil Niekro's got to step off the mound and regroup. Doesn't quite have the touch on that knuckleball yet. Here's Jack Howell, left fielder. He is hitting 335 on the replay, 14 homers, 41 driven in. He hit 272 real world. 4-9, and that's trouble. 1-5 is a triple, and a double die comes up low again. Look at that. It's another one, 3 or less. In 4 rolls in a row, it's been 3 or less. Unbelievable. That will give Jack Howell supposedly a triple. Let's see if he had any triples real world. He had 5 of them, so certainly he gets that triple. And in the replay for Howell, that'll be his 3rd triple of the replay. So back-to-back home runs followed by a triple from Jack Howell. Unbelievable. On the 4-9, 1-5, and that's a 2. All right, infield's going to come in with 1 out for Doug DeSensei. DeSensei on the replay is hitting just 222, 7 homers and 29 driven in. He at 234 real world. That's a 2, so chance for a balk or pass ball. That's a chance for a balk on Niekro. His balk is a 9, and this double die has been coming up low all day. Not this time. Finally got away from it. So no balk there. 4-4, and that's a catcher X. That can be problems, could a pass ball or anything like that, and you've got to run. So 2 and a 2. 2 and a 2 for Bando. 2 and an 11. This could be interesting. This might be a wild pitch of some sort. Or a pass ball, I should say. 2 and 11. Actually, he's going to get a break. 2 and 11 is a pop out. That's a 12, but I don't think there's any problem there with a 2. It is not. So it's just going to be a pop out behind the plate in fair territory. Actually, in front of the plate in fair territory for out number 2. And that keeps Howell at third base. Now it's a clutch situation for Devon White. White loses a couple of hits here on 2-8 and 2-11. In the clutch. On the replay, White hitting 282, 9 homers, 33 driven in. He at 263 in the actual season. That's a 4-8. Switch hitter batting left, and that's trouble for Niekro. 1-14 is a double, and of course the double dies low again. So we got a double. The Angels do not have a single in this game so far in the first inning. They've got 2 homers, a triple, and a double. So they are not messing around with Phil Niekro. They are want to send him to the old folks home pretty quick. It's 3-0. And here's Schofield, shortstop. Also a clutch situation where he loses some hits, 1-9, 1-10, and 3-9. On the replay, Schofield hitting .234, 3 homers, 20 driven in. Hit .251 in the real season. White with excellent speed at second base. 2-5 for Schofield, pops it up for Bernazard, but damage done. 3 runs for the California Angels as they pummel Mr. Niekro 3-0 after 1 inning of play. AARP maybe after California for elderly abuse. All right, here's Don Sutton back out. He'll be facing Joe Carter, who single-handedly is the most underperforming player in this replay. In the real season, he hit .264 with 32 home runs and 106 runs batted in 588 at-bats. In 244 at-bats, he's hitting .168, 9 homers, and 18 driven in. So I don't know what in the world, his card is cursed or something, but he's just been nowhere near. He would have to have one heck of a second half to catch up. 5-6, and that's a ground ball to Schofield at short. He's a 2E12. Hello, Colin. Good to see you. 2E12. 2 and a 10. He should get to that, you would think. 2 and a 10 is a G1. That's a 14, and he is an E12 at short. There's a 15, but no 14, so Schofield does make the play, and Carter's troubles continues. 1 away, and that will send up Mel Hall. No relation to Monty Hall. Mel Hall hitting .296, 619 driven in. He hit .280 real world. 3-9 for Hall. He's going to ground it to second. Easy play for McLemore. 2 down. And here's Tony Bernazard. Bernazard on the replay is hitting .235, 7 homers, 29 driven in. He hit .250 real world. Does get traded to Oakland later. 2-4, and that's a ground ball right back to Sutton. So very easy inning for Don Sutton. And we will go to the bottom of the second, still 3-0 Angels. Maybe this game should be played in Cleveland so Phil Niekro could have visiting Angels help him out. I don't know, but home Angels are tearing him apart. Here's McLemore. McLemore hitting .271 on the replay, 3 homers, 20 driven in. He hit .270. I'm sorry, he hit .236 real world. Switch hitter. 6-11, and that's a ballpark home run chance, but he does have weak power. It's a 4. It would have been a home run, but he's got weak power. So he'll settle with the base hit. But Niekro still not finding the answer. And now McLemore looking to run. 4, 5, or 6, he gets the lead. That's a 3. He does not get the lead, so he will hold. And here's Bob Boone. Booney hitting .159 on the replay in 82 at bats. He hit no homers, 4 driven in. He hit .242 real world. I could bunt, but they've been killing Niekro so bad. Why give him a free out? Let's make Niekro get him out. That's a 2. And a 2. So chance for a wild pitch. I'm sorry, for a balk chance again, 1-9. And this time he does balk. You don't have to bunt. Niekro helped you out right there with the balk. Five, 7, and that is a ground ball shortstop X. We are looking at Franco, 2E26. 2 with the E26. 2 and a 14 should be no problem. 2 and a 14 is a G1, so the runner will hold. That's a 12, and he's an E26. There's a 12 right there. Cleveland can't catch a break. E26, and there's a 12 smack dab right there on the one base error. So Niekro can't catch a break. That's going to be an E6 on Franco. And that'll put runners at the corners with nobody out. And Cleveland, and their bullpen's already overworked. They really don't need to to go back to this again, I don't believe, but they may have to. Here's Pettis. Infield is back for the double play. They got to have outs. Niekro 1-9, and he walks Gary Pettis, and that will load the bases. Things going from bad to worse for Mr. Niekro. And here's Joyner. He homered his first time up. Now he's got the bases loaded with nobody out. And that's another 2. And this time a chance of a pass ball on Bando. His pass ball rating is a 9. No pass ball, fortunately for Cleveland. 5-8, left-handed. Fly ball right field B. That will be a sacrifice fly. As coming in to score is McLemore, making it 4-0. Sacrifice fly by Wally Joyner. One down, runners at first and second, and here's Brian Downing. He also homered. That's another 2. Boy, we're getting that 2 roll comes up quite a bit. Chance for another balk on Niekro. And Niekro balks again. Second balk of the inning on Niekro. He's having his issues. Infield now back in. Got to play in again. 4-9, and it doesn't matter whether they play 1-5 is a triple, 6-20 is a double. That was between a 1 and a 19. I'm not sure how to score that because it was halfway. I'm going to re-roll it because it was kind of halfway in between. So I'm going to re-roll it, but it's definitely going to be either a triple or a double. 1-6, 1-5 is a triple. So it's going to be a double. Double is going to score both runs anyway. But when that die was kind of in between, I wasn't sure how to score that, or how to do that. So it's a 2-run double for Downing. And Phil Niekro is tired already in the second inning. I think he needs some Geritol, as the Cleveland bullpen is loosening, but they're trying to get Niekro through the inning at least. They want to start somebody fresh in the 3rd inning. Here's Jack Howell. It is now 6-0 favor of the Angels. 2-7 for Howell. That's a single to left. There's an anti-clutch there, but there's only 1 out. So that's not going to be effective. That's going to be a base hit to left field. Left fielder Arm Hall is a -1. They will hold Downing at 3rd base. So runners at the corners. And here comes the Sensei. Niekro trying to get out of the mess. 1-6. It took a Giovanni's Tailor Shop tailor-made double play to get him out of the mess. 1-6. Ground ball shortstop A. That is a Giovanni's Tailor Shop tailor-made double play. If you're in Lemoyne, Pennsylvania, be sure to stop by the unofficial sponsor of this replay, Giovanni's Tailor Shop in Lemoyne, Pennsylvania. But the 6-4-3 double play takes care of business, and that's going to take care of Mr. Niekro. He's going to go 2 innings and give up 6 runs. I believe at least one of them wasn't earned because of the error, but we'll check the box score and see what Strat-O-Matic tells me. Niekro, 2 innings, pitched 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, 1 walk and no strikeouts. And let's see who's going to be the reliever. Is it going to be Rich Yet, or is it going to be Scott Bales? They both have long relief ratings. Let's see how they want to play this. Looks like they're going to go with Scott Bales. So left-hander Scott Bales, not to be confused with Scott Baio. Scott Bales will be the new pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, as he's got a relief rating of 3, and they need somebody that can eat some innings. So Scott Bales will be your new pitcher in the bottom of the 3rd. Right now, Don Sutton enjoying this 6-0 lead. Just kind of cruising along. Here's Corey Snyder. Snyder hitting .235 on the replay. 8 homers, 24 driven in. He hit .236 real world. 3-5, and that's a home run 1-4. This time the double die doesn't cooperate. It's just a fly to left, and that's 1 away. One down. And here's Brooke Jacoby. Jacoby hitting 337 on the replay, 10 homers, 34 driven in. He hit an even 300 on the replay. I mean, on the real season. 6-7 is a solid single. So Brooke Jacoby gets himself a solid single. He, of course, will not be held. And here's catcher Chris Bando. Bando, switch hitter, hitting 204 on the replay, a homer and 13 driven in. He hit 218 real world. That's a 2. Boy, things come up with 2 awful lot. That's a balk chance on Sutton, but he has 0 balk rating, so no balk possible. That's a 4-4. Switch hitter batting left is a catcher X. We're looking at Boone, and Boone is a 1E14. 1 and a 4 for a catcher. 1 and a 4 is a W/G, possible wild pitch. That's a 13, and he is an E14. No 13. There's 12, 16, 17, and 18, but no 13. So it's just a W/G, and that means it's going to be a wild pitch. So the wild pitch will send Jacoby to second base, and Bando's still at bat. 4-8, switch hitter. Split chance, 1-3 is a single, but that's a 5. So he lines it right to McLemore, 2 down. Back to the top of the order for Brett Butler. Singled and got caught stealing. And that caught stealing kind of set the tone for the game, I guess, in favor of the Angels. 6-11, ground ball first base X, so that's Wally World. Wally World is a 1E11. So we know he's going to get to it. We're just checking the E11. And for a first baseman, E11, he's got to avoid 6, 8, 15, and 18. That's a 10. No problem there. Joyner will field it. Flip to Sutton covering to end the inning. 3-1 if you're scoring at home, and you know you should be. We go to the bottom of the third, and Scott Bales will be coming on for the Cleveland Indians. Bales, get his real life numbers. And his job is to basically eat innings and try not to let it get out of hand too much more than it already is. So Bales on the season, real season, 7-8, 4.64 ERA, and 6 saves. On the replay, 3-4, 6.04, and 2 saves. And he'll be facing Devon White, Dick Schofield, and Mark McLemore. 5-8, switch hitter, batting right is a strikeout. First strikeout of the game by either pitcher. Took 3 innings to get there and took a relief pitcher to do it. Had to get the young blood in there. Here's Schofield. Schofield popped to second his first trip. 3-8. He's going to draw a base on balls. So walking a strikeout from Bales. Boy, I need some coffee here. Hopefully I'm not catching anything. I hope not. Just a little bit of a dry throat, maybe. I don't know. Schofield, let's look at Bales. I forgot to mention his hold rate is a -4. So that makes him a -3 when you put him with the +1. Schofield, though, still going to look to get the lead. Still going to look to get that lead. And he gets the lead. He's going to go. He's a 19, being held as a 17. -3 is a 14. 1-14, he's safe. And he's in there. Stolen base for Schofield. Not sure Cleveland liked that because they may be thinking that's a little bit of rubbing it in. But we're only in the third inning, so the game is obviously not over. So you still have to play. And here's McLemore. McLemore singled his first time up. 5-4, switch hitter batting right-handed this time. Ballpark single, 1-5. That's a 4. Boy, it came, Deviled Eye comes through again. And that's going to put runners at the corners with only 1 out. McLemore now looking to get a lead. Needs a 4, 5, or 6. Does not get the lead, but that's a 2. It means it's a possible balk on Bales. So we need to check Bales' balk rating. And his balk rating is a 0, so no potential balk there. But now it means he can't get the lead. He'll have to hold for Bob Boone. Infield back for the double play. 6-5, and now I'm worried about double play now. 1-4 is a triple. That's a 15. It'll be a double for Bob Boone. Double for Boone. Schofield's going to score. The double is assumed to go to center. Butler's a 0 arm. McLemore being held is a 15. They will send him, and they will throw the plate, and Boone will have to hold. 1-15, and he scores. And he does. 2-run double for Bob Boone, and Scott Bales may not be the answer either. Maybe they were better off to have Scott Baio out there. It is now 8-0 California, and we're still in the 3rd inning. Here's Gary Pettis. 3-10 for Pettis against the lefty is split. 2-20 is a line out to short. That's out number 2. 2 down. Well, so much for a exciting, close game, huh? Well, you get these once in a while. Here's Joyner. He has homered, and he has hit a sacrifice fly. 1 for 1. Official. 3-11, that's a ballpark single. 1-5, and of course the Devil Die comes up with the 4. It's only a 1 star, so Boone holds at 3rd. But the hit parade continues. Hit number 10 now for the Angels, and we're still in the 3rd inning. They're on pace to have 30 hits the way this is going. Here's Downing. 2-6 for Downing, and that's well, look at this, folks. I guess by rule, it is a clutch situation. I mean, it's 8-0. Is it really that clutch? But I guess if by the letter of the law, it is a clutch situation. So the 2-6 here is going to turn into an out, even though it's 8-0. But there is a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. So by the letter of the law, it is a pop out to short. So the Tribe catch a break there. And they improve because California only got 2 runs this time, not 3. So how do you like that? That's like I said, that's one of those ones I might homebrew at some point. I don't know, but because really, how clutch is it if it's 8-0? But I didn't declare that before the game started, so I'm going to go by the regular rules. That is something I may adjust as a homebrew later on, but right now we'll play it by the book. Here's Julio Franco. 4-3, and that's a ground ball pitcher X. Sutton is an E0, so he can't make an error. He is a 4 for his range, though. We'll roll the 3d6s, make sure we don't get a 5 for a rare play, and we don't get that. So he's a 4. So on the pitcher and a 4, he's got to roll a 5 or higher to get to this. And he does. Okay, so Sutton will make the play on Franco. Took a little bit for Sutton to get moving off the mound there. A few of the achy knees or everything else, but he makes the play. And here's Tabler. I guess down 8-0, Franco wasn't exactly running hard either. Tabler, 111. That's a fly to center. Devon White. Not Devon White, but Gary Pettis actually makes the play in right center field. 2 down for the enigma that is Joe Carter. Carter 0 for 1. He's now hitting 167 in 245 at-bats. He's got a 167 average. 2-9. And look at this ballpark blast. 1-12, but what do you know? Joe Carter would get a high. The D20's been low all day. But when Joe Carter needs it, and he needs a less than 12, the Devil Die shows up at the 15. That's the way you know he's screwed. He might just bend over and take it because it's just terrible. It's just terrible. It is pretty bad, is all I'll say. pretty bad. Talk about not being able to catch a break. That is the poster child for not being able to catch a break. Terrible, terrible for Joe Carter. So that's going to end the inning. Go to the bottom of the fourth. We do have a trivia question from Kathy in the top of the fifth, so be on the lookout for that. But who knows how long the bottom of the fourth will last, the way this game is going. Maybe a 20-minute bottom of the fourth for all we know. Here's Jack Howell. 2-9, lefty. It's a ground ball to second. One away for Doug DeSensei. DeSensei, with all this hitting, he's actually 0 for 2. 6-8 this time against the left-hander. 6-8 is going to be a 1-15 single, but that's a 19, so he didn't catch a break either. He lines it to short. He's 0 for 3. It's Mr. DeSensei. He could file a complaint against that double die, too. So 2 down, and that's going to bring up Devon White. He is doubled and struck out. 2-8, and that's a single. There's no clutch to worry about, so the single is good. And Devon White's going to be looking to run. Needs a 3 through 6 to get the lead. And he gets that lead. He's going to go 18, being held as a 16. -3 is a 13. 1-13, he's going. And he's got caught stealing. So now each team has had a caught stealing. And Cleveland gets out of the inning without allowing a run. Go figure. So we go to the top of the fifth. It is still 8-0 California. And if you turn your attention to the chat area, Kathy has a non-baseball related trivia question for us. While Don Sutton warms up, this will be Sutton's fatigue inning, by the way, even though he's pitching very well. What was Jethro's mother's name in Beverly Hillbillies? Extra credit if you know the actress who played her. Wait, I remember watching the Beverly Hillbillies, but I don't remember the name of any of these people. I remember Jethro, but that's it. Ernest Pearl is as good a guess as anything else. You talking about like Minnie Pearl or something, or is that just B? Who was that? B. Benedare? Don't know who that is. Way back before my time. Ernest will get confirmation from Kathy and see if you are correct. It'll be Mel Hall, Tony Bernazard, and Corey Snyder due up for the Tribe. And again, this is the fatigue inning for Don Sutton. Keep an eye on that. 3-8 for Hall, and that's a ground ball to third, one away. And Ernest got them both. How about that? He was right on top of that one. Thank you for that, Kathy, and thank you for Ernest for jumping in with the quick answer there. Here is Tony Bernazard. They could have made it where Mr. Drysdale was the father of Don Drysdale, maybe in the storyline or something. I don't know. Here's Bernazard, 5'7", switch hitter batting left. That's a strikeout for Sutton. There's a dot there, but he's not tired yet. That's actually his first strikeout. Took him 5 innings to get it, but he finally got one. So here's Corey Snyder. I mean, he's got an 8-0 lead. So, you know, definitely the leash will be long for Don Sutton. He's going to stay in there until he gives up a run, basically. Snyder, 5'6", and that's a ground ball to short. That's Schofield, 2E12. 2E12, 2 and a 10. 2 and a 10. 2 and a 10 is a G1, and an 11 is an E12 and an 11. I don't see no 11 there. So that will end the inning. 3 up, 3 down for Sutton. He keeps full endurance into the 6th. You got a vitamin shot, I guess, to keep his strength up. So he'll carry full endurance into the bottom of the 6th or top of the 6th. Right now, bottom of the fifth. This is Bale's fatigue getting inning number 3, so we'll see how far he can go. He's basically there to eat innings. Oh, the white die got held up. What's going on with that? Come on. 6'8", right-hander. 6'8", 1-15 is a single. Base hit for Schofield. Schofield could try to get a lead. In fact, he will. The Angels are not putting their foot off the gas. This is not Little League. We're not worried about hurting anybody's feelings here. These are professionals. Nope, no lead. All right, here's McLemore. He's 2 for 2, 5-7, and he draws a walk, so he stays perfect on the day. First and second. Nobody out. And here's Bob Boone. And we're going to have Bob Boone put down an unexpected bunt. Indians are definitely not looking for it, so he's going to keep his A rating. The bunt will go to number 3, which in this case, I believe is the first baseman. No, it's actually the catcher Bando will have to come field it. But he's an A bunter, so anything 10 or less, and he'll make good on the bunt. 8, he certainly does. So good bunt. 2-3 on the put out because the corners weren't in, so the first baseman's back there to take the throw. Runners move up on the sacrifice hit by Boone. And you might wonder, why in the world are you bunting when it's 8-0? Well, for one thing, Boone's got an A bunt rating, which means he did a lot of sacrifice bunting in real life, and I don't do that much sacrifice bunting, so if I can sneak in a sac bunt to add to his totals to make it more realistic, I'll do it. Here's Gary Pettis. Infield for Cleveland is in. 3-9 for Pettis against the lefty, and it's going to get through for a base hit. The A+ is going to make that a base hit. 2-run single because the infield was in. It is now 10-0 in favor of California. When it rains, it pours is all we can say. I think that was the old Morton Salt, what do you call it, the jingle or whatever. So Bales is now tired, but they're going to try to get him through the inning. They would try to get him through the inning. They do have right-hander Rich Yett loosely in the bullpen. 5-6, lefty, and that's trouble. 1-14. That's a single 2 stars. That'll put runners on the corners. And they may have to go to Yett right now. They were hoping they wouldn't have to do it yet, but it looks like yet they will. So Rich Yett will be your new pitcher for the Tribe, as Bales couldn't give them 3 innings that they wanted. Yett is a -4 on its whole. Not that that really matters that much. I think the Angels are going to call off the Dogs on the stolen base thing now, with it being double digits. So we will go to the Strat computer and bring in Mr. Yett out of the bullpen. And they're certainly hoping he can give them some innings. Yett on the real season, 3-9, 5.25 ERA, and 1 save. On the replay, 1-2 with a 3.51 ERA in the save. So he's done better on the replay for sure. And Cleveland's going to need that. Brian Downing is at the plate. They're back for the double play. They want to get one of those Giovanni Taylor Shop's tailor-made double plays. Get out of the inning. Whoa, look at that. We got stacked up dice. How many times does that happen? Obviously, that's not a legitimate roll because my rule is all 3 have to be, or all 4 dice have to be flat on this felt for it to count. So the stack does not count. It would have been a 4-10, but that does not count. So we'll try again. 2-9 instead, and that's going to be a 1-10 single. 17 is a liner to short. That's out number 2. So Downing is out. 2 down. And that'll bring up Jack Howell. And again, by the book, it's a clutch situation, but it's 10-0. But I'm going to play it as a clutch situation because that's what the book says. The book doesn't make any reference to score. Again, that's something I might homebrew. 410, catcher X. We're back to Bando. He's a 2E2. 2 and a 12. He might get by with that. It's going to be iffy. 2 and a 12 for a catcher. Yep, he got by with a pop out. 7, there's no error there on an E2 with a 7. So it's a pop out. And they escape further damage. But 2 more runs come in. We can close the book on Bales now and get his full numbers. So we go to the Strat computer and get those details on Mr. Bales. Bales goes 2 1/3. Gives up 7 hits and 4 runs, all earned. 2 walks and a strikeout. So Cleveland pitching is in 5 innings has given up 14 hits, 10 runs, and 3 walks. Just in 5 innings of pitching. Meanwhile, back on the farm, Don Sutton is just laughing along very casually with a 10-0 lead. And he has full endurance because he went 1, 2, 3 in the 5th. 4-9, and that's 4-10 would have been a home run chance, but 4-9's a ground ball right to Schofield, 1 away. 1 down, and that's going to bring up Chris Bando. 6-9, switch it to batting left. That's a base hit. Single for Chris Bando. Only the 3rd hit by the Tribe in this game. Here comes Brett Butler. Of course, Bando not going to be held. .410, and that's a ground ball third base X. That is the Sensei's, a 3E23. 3-16. This could be a double play. 3-16 is a G1. He's an E23, and that's an 8. E23, there's no 8 there, so that's an around the horn 5-4-3 double play. Turn by California. And Sutton will continue into the 7th. So we go to the bottom of the 6th. Still 10-0. It's amazing 19 of you are still here watching this fiasco. But I appreciate it. I thought when the score got out of hand, people would drop off. But maybe people like carnage, or it's like going by not to sound morbid, but sometimes when there's a car accident on the road, that's why people on the other side of the highway slow down and look. So, of course, they're not hoping for bad things for the drivers. It's just, I guess, just a human reaction to be curious and check it out. All right, here's Doug DeSensei. 5-8, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Franco. He's a 2E26. Let's see, 2 and a 19 is good. E26 and an 8. E26, there's no 8 there, so Franco will make the play. And there's 1 away. 1 down. And here is Devon White. Single to double, 2 for 3. 2-7, and that's a strikeout. 2 up, 2 down for Yet. He's retired all 4 he has faced. How about that? Here's Schofield. 5-7. 1-5 is a triple. That's a 12. He's going to fly it to left. And how about that? A 1-2-3 inning for Rich Yet. He's bringing stability to the Cleveland pitching staff. We played 6 innings. It's still 10-0 California. On the bright side for Cleveland, they only have to cover 8 innings because as the visiting team, they don't have to pitch the 9th. So they'll save their bullpen at least 1 inning of work. Sutton's coming back out. He's still got endurance. They're going to try to see if he can go through 7 innings at least. I think we'll cap him at 7 one way or the other. just to be realistic. So here's Julio Franco. He's 0 for 2, 5-4. That's a pop out to second base, 1 away. Here is Pat Tabler. Tabler's 0 for 2 as well. 3-8 for Tabler. He'll draw a base on balls. And I believe that's the first walk issued by Sutton. Took 7 innings to get a walk, but he finally gets one. And here comes everybody's underachiever, Joe Carter, Mr. Underachiever. Now still hitting 167. 2-8. And hey, gets a hit. How about that? We talk about it bad enough. He gets a single, 2 stars. Joe Carter finally gets a hit. That's going to put runners at the corners with only 1 out. And that'll bring up Mel Hall. Infield obviously back for a double play. 4-3, left-handed. Fly ball left field X. That's Jack Howell. He's not very good. 4-4. Even if he makes the catch, it's going to probably at least be, at worst, a sacrifice fly. Even with that 19, I bet it's still an F2. Let's see, 4 and a 19. No, it's actually an F3. How about that? That's just kind of day it's been for Cleveland. You get a 4 in the outfield, you're almost sure it's going to be at least a sacrifice fly. The only way it's not is on F3, 19 or 20, and we get a 20. That's just the kind of game it's been for Cleveland. Nothing else needs to be said. E4 and a 9, that's no problem. It's a shallow fly to left. Runners have to hold. If you're a lifelong Cleveland fan, you probably can relate. All right, here's Bernazard. And again, by definition, it's a clutch situation. So I'll play it as such. 6-3. That's grab ball pitcher X to Sutton. We already know he's E0 and he's a 4. So we're going to check, make sure there's no rare play. There is not. So he basically needs a 5 or higher on this D20 to make the play. And he does. So Sutton will throw out Bernazard, and he keeps the shutout through 7 innings. How about that? But I think that might be all for Sutton. I don't think we're going to overextend him in any way. I think we'll cap him at 7 innings. And barring a major miracle, he will improve to 5 and 4. So he's going to go 7 innings, give up just 4 hits, no runs. Walks 1, strikes out 1. Very pedestrian, but quality outing for Don Sutton. And the Angels will bring in the worst pitcher they can find to pitch, Mike Cook. Because it's definitely, when you're up 10-0 or down 10-0, there's no use using good pitchers. You might as well use your crap, because they got to pitch eventually. And now is the time to use them. So Mike Cook will be coming on for California in the top of the 8th. Right now, Rich Yett back out. We're at the 7th inning stretch, but I guess we'll keep going. McLemore. Hello, Mike. I realize that, Dr. D, the rule book doesn't say that, but I'm thinking about home brewing that myself just to make common sense, because, like I said, when it's 10-0, how clutch can the at-bat be? So that's why I say play the game the way you want to play it. Right now, I'm going to play it by the rule, but I may look into possibly home brewing something later on. Here's McLemore. 2-6, and that's a base on balls. That's not what Rich Yett wants. And we're going to have, by golly, we're going to have Bob Boone bunt again. So Bob Boone is going to bunt. Hello, Brad. Good to see you. We're going to have Bob Boone bunt again. So the bunt is going to go to the first baseman again. I'm sorry, to the catcher again, because of 3. So he's an A bunter. We know that. So basically a 10 or less, he's good. A 6, that might even be a speed check, but he's not going to beat anything out on the bunt, I don't believe. No, it's actually a defensive check. McLemore runs at a 16, though, so I think if you're Cleveland, you take the out when you can get it. So sacrifice bunt for Boone. He's got 2 sacrifice bunts in this game. Helping to pad his stats. Since I don't bunt in real time, I need to manufacture a bunt here and there just to get the stats to come out a little bit better. Here is Pettis. 1-4. Split chance, 1-14 is a single. That's a base hit. Going to put runners at the corners with only 1 out. Pettis really, really wants to try to steal, but Gene Mock says, no, don't do that. So here's Joyner, infield looking for the double play. That's a 3-5 for Joyner. And he's going to walk. Boy, 3-6 would have been a home run. 3-5 is a walk. It's going to load the bases with 1 out for Brian Downing. Bases are loaded, 1 out. Cleveland looking for that Giovanni's tailor-made double play. Brian Downing looking for the grand salami. 1-7, and that's a 1-7 double. And, of course, the double dies a 1. So it's going to be a 2-run double. They will hold Joyner at third. But it's a 2-run double. It's now 12-0 California. On the 2-run double from Brian Downing, he has homered and doubled twice. And now Rich Yett is tired, according to the Strat computer. They're going to try to get him through the inning since there's already 1 out. Here's Jack Howell. Second and third, infield is in. 4-12. That's going to be a 1-10 single, but that's an 11, so he did catch a break there. It's a line out to second for out number 2. And here comes DeSensei, who is, despite all this hitting by California, DeSensei is 0 for 4. Talk about somebody that could really use a hit. He is 0 for 4. Second and third, 2 outs. 6-7, and that's 1-4 as a double. That's an 8, though, so he flies to center. And DeSensei, 0 for 5. California has 16 hits in this game, and he's 0 for 5. They have 12 runs and 16 hits, and DeSensei is 0 for 5. It's always one guy. So that's going to do it for Yett. They had to get him through the inning, and they did. So Yett is going to go 2 2/3 of relief, and we'll get his numbers off the computer. And then we'll figure out who the new pitcher for California is going to be in the 8th inning. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go to the other thing. All right, for Yett, his final total, 2 2/3, 2 hits, 2 runs. They were earned. Walks 2, strikes out 1. So the new pitcher, we already said, was Mike Cook. I didn't have to worry about who the new pitcher was. I already said who it was. It's Mike Cook. Cook on the real season was 1-2 with a 5.50 ERA. No saves. He did have 1 start. But he has a relief rating of 3, so he can certainly finish the game and keep California from having to use any more bullpen, rest of their bullpen, give them an extra day off. So we'll bring in, on the computer at least, we will bring in Mr. Was he not on the roster? Oh, wow. I missed that. I just saw that. I thought I had everybody on the computer that was supposed to be on the roster, but I thought for sure he was on the roster. They're saying he's not on the roster, so can't use Cook. I have to use somebody else because they're saying Strat-O-Matic saying he's not on the roster. So who we have available to use out of the bullpen, we got left-handers Finley and Lucas, right-handers Minton and Bice are showing as the guys available. Let's see, who do they want to use now? Given that new information, they have to find somebody else to use. They will go with, see who's got the most rest. Might be Gary Lucas. It is. Gary Lucas is going to come on and pitch for the Angels. Left-hander Gary Lucas. So we will use Gary Lucas out of the bullpen. And Lucas is a 0 hold, which makes him a -3. His name is Lucas, and he lives on the 2nd floor. And you've probably seen him before. So Gary Lucas is on the real season. 1-5 with a 3.63 ERA. On the replay, 2-0 with a 2.48 ERA. He'll be facing Snyder, Jacoby, and Bando with a Tribe here in the 8th inning of a 10-0 blowout. 3-10 against the lefty, and that's a walk. Boy, you just missed a chance for a home run there, but it's a walk. And by Cleveland's luck, that would have, with the D20 being what it was, it would have been a fly out. So I guess you take the walk and like it. So here comes Jacoby. Tribe would just like to get on the board to get that 0 off the scoreboard. That's a 2. Chance for balk or pass ball. Balk rating on Lucas. Let's see what his balk rating is. Lucas has a wild pitch rating of 8, balk rating of 5. So there's no balk. No balk by Lucas. And we drive on. 1-2 for Jacoby. And he is hit by the pitch. So Lucas, and you would think it would be the other way around. You would think one of the Cleveland pitchers would have hit one of the California batters being 10-0, and with them stealing bases, but it's kind of going the other way around now. All right, here's Bando, and I think they're going to pinch hit for Bando. And they'll bring in Rick Dempsey to catch, but to pinch hit, they're going to bring in right-hander Andre Thornton. Longtime slugger for Cleveland at the end of his career. So Thornton will pinch hit. And Dempsey will do the catching in the bottom of the 8th. So Thornton's going to do the pinch hitting. Dempsey doing the catching. Thornton. Let's see what he's done in the real season versus the replay. Andre Thornton. So on the real season, Thornton hit 118. 118, 85 at bats. And you're thinking, why are you pinch hitting some guy? Why are you using him as a pinch hitter? Well, do you want me to save him when it's a tight game? I mean, you got to get his at bats in, and this is the kind of game you would do it. So he hit 118 on the real season, no homers, 5 driven in. He hit 186 in the replay so far. And, of course, as you're playing this thing, I mean, they're counting on him to be a good hitter, particularly against left-handed pitching. He faces lefties 62% of the time. We had the knowledge ahead of time knowing that he sucked, but they didn't know that back then. They kept hoping he would turn it around, just never did. So here is Andre Thornton against Lucas. 5-6, and he strikes out. So Thornton is out of there. But if you're not going to use Thornton in a game like this, when would you ever use him is the question. So, all right, here's Butler. Five, 6, and that's a base on balls by Lucas. It's going to load the – so without the benefit of a hit, the Cleveland Indians have loaded the bases. 2 walks and a hit by pitch have loaded the bases for Julio Franco. And if Lucas can't get it straight, they're going to have to replace him. Not going to make Gene Mock very happy. He didn't really want to have to use another pitcher, but they may have to. Infield back for the double play. 2-8, and look at this. Wouldn't you know it? A Giovanni's Tailor Shop tailor-made double play keeps the Tribe from scoring. You can't make this stuff up, folks. It just happens. 6-4-3, Giovanni's Tailor Shop sponsoring another tailor-made double play to end the inning. Poor Julio. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Rick Dempsey will come in and catch. Now, do they want Yet to pitch again? Keep pitching? Or do they bring in like a position player just to mop up here? Let's see what they want to do. I guess they'll go ahead and let Yet keep going. Oh, no, Yet's tired. He can't keep going. He's out of the game, so we have to find somebody to pitch for Cleveland. Who would that somebody be? I guess they'll use Mark Huseman. Or maybe they'll use this guy, Mike Armstrong. We'll use him. How about that? Definitely a mop-up role. On the real season, he was 1-0 with an 8.68 ERA, so I guess that's a good time as any to use him. We'll bring him into the ball game, get his replay numbers, which are probably not very good, but we shall see. Actually, on the replay, he is doing a little bit better. He has no one-loss record, but in 5 innings, his ERA is only 5.40, where in the real world is 8.68. But he's only pitched 5 innings, so he has given up 8 hits and walked 6. So that's part of the problem, those walks. And let's see, Devon White. Do the Angels stick with Devon White? Or would they want to bring in some backup guys just to get him some at-bats? I think we're going to give some backup guys some time to play. So Rupert Jones is going to pinch hit, and he'll stay in the game to play right field. So Rupert Jones will pinch hit for Devon White. Give Devon White the rest of the game off. Rupert Jones. Rupert Jones. He is on. On the real season, Jones hit 245, 8 homers and 20 driven in. On the replay, he's hitting 217, 4 homers, 7 driven in. And again, the guy gets hung up. Let's try this again. 3-6 for Rupert, and he flies to center field for out number 1. 1 down, and that's going to bring up Schofield. Do they pinch hit for Schofield? Probably not. I don't know if they have anybody else to play shortstop. Let's see. Do they have anybody else to play shortstop is the question. Yeah, they got Gus Polidor. Why not pinch hit with Gus Polidor just for the heck of it? So Gus Polidor will get an at-bat as they empty the benches. And we'll get the numbers on Polidor. And Rupert Jones will stay in the game to play right field. Polidor will stay in the game to play short. Polidor on the replay is hitting 250 in 24 at-bats. No homers, 2 driven in. He at 263 real world. 2-7 for Polidor. He's going to ground it to third. And that is 2 away. So 2 down. And that brings up McLemore. But they don't have anybody else to play the outfield, I don't believe. Or to play second base, I should say. So they'll go ahead and stick with McLemore. He's reached base all 4 times. 2 singles, 2 walks, and 4 runs scored from the number 8 position. 4-6, switch hitter batting left, and he's going to get another base hit. 1-4 is that's a single. So he is 3 for 3, reaching base all 5 times. Mark McLemore. That'll bring up Bob Boone, but they won't. They'll go ahead and give Bob Boone the rest of the day off, and they'll bring in backup catcher Jack Fimple to give him an at-bat. Jack Fimple Feynman, who was not a Pyman. So Fimple, this might be his first at-bat of the replay. I'm not sure. He is, like I say, he doesn't play much, that's for sure, because Miller's usually the other backup. This is his first at-bat. Fimple only had 10 at-bats in the real season, but he is on the roster. He only had 10 at-bats real world. He was 2 for 10 with 1 run batted in. This is his first at-bat on the replay. So Fimple So as Gene Mock would say, we're keeping it simple, stupid. "5-9," and that's going to be a walk. Keeps the inning going. Ernest, it's interesting you say he's a former Dodger because on my Strat computer, the picture that comes up is with the Dodgers. So interesting. And the picture for Armstrong that comes up is for the Yankees. So a little bit off there, but I don't guess it really matters all that much. Gary Pettis is your scheduled hitter, but I think they're going to call him back too. And they're going to bring in Mark Ryle. They'll bring in Mark Ryle to pinch hit. Assuming they have somebody that can move to center field. Yeah, Rupert Jones is actually going to play center field, and Mark Ryle will play left. That's how they'll work it. So Mark Ryle is going to come on. And he will take over in right field, where Rupert Jones will actually go to center field. So Mark Ryle, as the Angels really empty the bench. Ryle on the replay is hitting .278 in 36 at-bats. But he got 6 home runs and 36 at-bats. He only had 5 home runs, period, in 100 at-bats. But he's got 6 of them in the replay. .45, and that's a double to right field. How about that? Mark Ryle comes in and gets a pinch hit double. McLemore will score from second. At first base is Jack Fimple. He runs at a 10, so we'll be gracious and hold him at third. RBI double. It is now 11. I'm sorry, it is now 13-0. 13-0. Baker's dozen. And now Wally Joyner, the batter. Wally Joyner, the batter. But do they have anybody else that can play first base? Let's see. We're really reaching here. Yes, we do. Mark Ryle can play first base. Miller's actually going to play right field. So they're emptying everybody they have off the bench. So Darryl Miller will pinch hit. Everybody for the Angels is going to get a chance. He pinch hits for Joyner. He can tell his grandkids, hey, I pinch hit for Wally Joyner. So Darryl Miller will come on and pinch hit. On the replay, he's hitting .213, 3 homers, 13 driven in. He hit .241 real world. .411, and that's a ballpark home run chance, which is 1-12, but that's an 18. Would have been a pinch hit 3-run homer, but the Angels ballpark in the D20 didn't allow it. The run is in to make it 13-0 as we go to the top of the 9th. And now a lot of wholesale changes on the Strat computer. Fimple will stay in the game to catch. Polidor is your new shortstop. Rupert Jones is in center field. Darryl Miller is in right field. And the new first baseman is Mark Ryle. And that finishes out the lineup there. All right, so that finishes that. Armstrong, let's get his numbers. He went 1 uneventful inning. And 2 hits and a run, which was earned. Walked 1, struck out none. So Cleveland pitching walked 6, only struck out 2. And I think it's pretty safe to put an X there. I don't think Cleveland's getting 13 runs. All right, so Lucas back out to finish things out. He'll be facing Tabler, Carter, and Hall. So if you hung around, you get to see Joe Carter have another eventful at bat. Here's Tabler. 4-4, right-handed. That's an in-home run chance, 1-6. That's a 7. And if you want to know how it's gone for the Indians this entire game. Look no further than this at bat. A 4-4 is an in-home run chance 1-6, and the devil die comes up with the 7. You can't make this stuff up. I'm telling you. You just can't. So Tabler flies out, and that'll bring up the erstwhile Joe Carter, who is 1 for 3 in this game. He's upped his average now to 170. 6-4. That's a catcher X. That's a new catcher, Fimple. How about that? Fimple is a 4E16. At least that's what the computers tell me. Look at his card real quick. Yep. He's a 4E16 for Fimple. Nobody's on base, fortunately, for the Angels, so there can't be a pass ball or a wild pitch, but a 4E16 for a catcher is obviously not ideal. But to get a 20, that's how it's going for Cleveland. You get a 4 catcher and you roll a 20. Go figure. G3. That's an 11. And he's an E16 as a catcher. And it's the worst error rating you can have, but there is no 11 here. So the fact that Fimple, who's a 4E16, makes a clean play, again, just reiterates what a bad day it is for Cleveland. It's going to be a 2-3 ground out for Joe Carter. 2 down for Mel Hall. Last chance, Mel Hall. Against Gary Lucas. 3-12, and that's a strikeout plus. I'm sorry, it's 112. 3-12 is a ballpark blast, and that's a 10. How about that? Mel Hall, I was getting ready to pinch hit for him because he's left-handed, and he only faces lefties 7% of the time. I said, what the hell? Leave him in there. And this is how wild it is. He gets a 3-12, which is a ballpark blast. He's got normal power against lefties, and it's a home run. So they avoid the shutout on the last at-bat of the game. The 27th out did not come before Cleveland got off the schneid. And for Mel Hall, that is home run number 7, RBI number 20. Obviously, he hit homers against lefties because he's rated with normal power. So there you go. How about that? Breaks up the shutout. Makes the score not seem so bad now that it's 13-1. Here's Bernazard. 4-9, and that's a split chance. 1-4 is a single, and that's going to be a line out to short to end the ball game. But the home run from Mel Hall gets the whitewashing off the board. Final score 13-1 in favor of the Angels. And we'll get the gory totals in this AARP geriatric game. Sutton actually surpassed expectations. He gets the win to go to 5-4. Lucas went 2 innings, gave up the hit, which was the home run. Walked 1, struck out. Actually, walked 2, struck out 1. So there were a total of 9 walks and only 4 strikeouts in this game. Losing pitchers, Niekro, he drops to 2-6. For California, 13 runs, 18 hits, and no errors. For Cleveland, 1 run, 5 hits, and 1 error. Angels did leave 10 on base, or it could have been worse. Could have been worse, obviously. So that's going to conclude the June 8th schedule. There is one more game. I'm going to play it offline. That is Seattle and Texas. Not exactly a stellar matchup there. But we'll come back on Monday, and the first game on Monday morning for the June 9th schedule. The June 9th schedule on Monday morning. We're going to be at Yankee Stadium. It'll be Ron Guidry against John Cerruti, a couple of lefties, Toronto and the Yankees. Toronto and the Yankees on Monday. On Tuesday, it'll be Detroit and Milwaukee going at it. Teddy Higuera against Jack Morris. And after that, I'm not sure. But those are the first 2 dates next week at 9 a.m. Well, Ernest, hopefully it's not going to deter from checking in further. But, Mama, when you get to Cleveland pitching staff, you're liable to get anything. I'll just put it that way. So that's all I can say about that at the moment. So with the win, though, it was an important win for California. They needed that win. With the win, California improves to 29-28. and they take sole possession of second place over the Minnesota Twins, and they are 4 games in back of the Oakland A's. So that's where the standings are there. Cleveland, with the loss, drops back to 22-34, and they are in exact tie for next to last place with the Baltimore Orioles. They had the exact same record at 22-34, which is still 2.5 games better than the Red Sox. But they are 11 games back of Detroit for 4th place. So way out there. So I would say, hope you enjoyed that presentation of Strat-O-Matic, but with the score being what it was, it can't be but so enjoyable. But hopefully you had fun watching the carnage. Again, this coming Monday, we'll be at Yankee Stadium for the Ron Guidry start, his first start of 1987. He had a couple of relief appearances, and he'll be facing left-hander John Cerruti of the Blue Jays. That'll be the game on Monday morning. Between now and the weekend, I've got other stuff I'm going to plan on doing. I'm not sure what day I'm going to do which, but you got the payoff pitch 1972 Steve Carlton replay. That's 2 games in. Game 3 will be coming up against San Francisco and Juan Marichal. We got the Demolition League 2020 with the Imagine set. I'll probably do something with that tonight. Thank you, World's Worst. I appreciate it. Hope you had a good time with the chat and everything, and just the whole community type experience, because that's what it's all about, is community and people engaging and just enjoying the hobby. Results, I guess, are kind of second nature or secondary to the whole thing. I mean, you like to have some decent results, but they aren't the end all to everything. So again, like I said, we got, and then also got the Ticonderoga Stooges in the fictional Baseball America set. They're going to be playing the Havana Bananas coming up in Havana. I hit the mute button by accident, Ernest. Thank you for letting me know. My headset cord was on the ground, and my foot hit the mute button. Apparently, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's, you know, I'm imperfect on these things. So at some time today, and if Uncle Ron's not on at lunch, I may do it at 12. If he's not on at lunch, I may do the replay, the payoff pitch. Steve Carlton, Game 3, Phillies and the Giants against Juan Marichal. I may do that at lunchtime if he's not on. If he's going to stream, I'll just let him stream and stay off it and do it at a later time. If not, then we'll do that. But here, looking ahead to Monday morning, that's what we got Monday morning. We got Toronto and the Yankees. It'll be Ron Guidry against John Cerruti. It'll be game number 384, and it'll be on the first game on the June 9th docket. So that's what we're going to have there. So until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road. Have a great weekend, everybody.